So if your garden's been growing since spring, think about everything that the soil has been through. It's been through tons of root infiltration. It's been through lots of water, moisture. It's been through extreme heat at this point. So let's take a moment to really look at the soil and what are some of the things that we might have done, but yet we're still not having success. So during spring and into summer, we've grown heavy feeding plants, tomatoes, peppers, things that pull lots of nutrients from the soil. And maybe we've fertilized, maybe we've watered, and you couple that with extreme heat. Maybe we've gone through a period of drought, which really right now we're sort of in a drought. We're not really getting much moisture at all. You're starting to see yards die back and get brown. And we're really in need of rain. So you have to think about nutrients being able to move through the soil. And then at this point, what nutrients are actually left there? And ideally, we're about to ask the same soil that we have run through the ringer to grow another round of maybe tomatoes and peppers. And then we're going to topple that with our fall garden before we ask our soil to grow another round of crops. Let's give it a little attention. One of the easiest things we can do is just transition from summer and spring gardening right into fall and not pay attention to our soil. We're immediately putting in something new and we're not thinking about what's actually transpired in the soil. As we mentioned, heat, high nutrient feeding plants, lots of moisture from heavy rains. Could you actually just plant without doing anything? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, will it be soil focused and will it give you the best results? Probably not. This is a great opportunity for us to improve the garden, to improve the soil, and take a moment to observe the conditions that are there so that we can be ahead of the curve and be more successful with our fall crops and our second round of spring crops. When I pull out an old plant, one of the first things I want to do is check for compaction. We've gotten a lot of moisture here in Southeast Texas over the spring season. So a lot of our beds may end up being compacted. This doesn't happen all the time depending on the soil consistency, but it's something that we need to stay focused and look at. Does water really soak in well, or does it just tend to want to run off or go to the edges of our beds, or if we're container gardening where our soil looks like it shrank up and it's not actually accepting water? Is there still organic material in there? Is there something for the soil biology to break down and continue feeding the soil? Has the level on our bed dropped? As things, larger particles in our soil break down, the volume tends to drop down, and then you couple that with heavy rains and compactions, you're pressing down. And these are not ideal conditions for plants that might have big root systems. Point being, the awesome soil that you put in last year or 2 years ago, it's not the same soil now. One of the first things we like to do as we're transitioning from season to season is to look at adding compost. This is a great way to build the volume back up in your bed, add organic matter, and improve the moisture holding capability of the soil. This is also a great time to do a soil test if you haven't done one in a while. While soil tests might not give you a fix immediately for this latter part of the year in the fall season, it is going to give you information that you need to be able to correct soil pH problems and maybe nutrient problems. Soil pH is going to take a while, so what we do now or change that will affect maybe next spring's garden fully. And then adding nutrients back in the soil, fertilizer, we can find these things and have a better idea of what's missing or maybe what's abundant in our soil already by doing a soil test. We don't want to blindly throw fertilizer in there like we do, or most people. They honestly do this all the time. It's just part of the regimen. We don't want to throw it in blindly without knowing actually what our soil needs. Let's talk a little bit about soil biology. I'm going to give you an instance of a product that I like to use that helps increase and activate the soil biology which is already there in your soil. We like to use a product called Medina Soil Activator. This is a long-term proven product that activates the natural biology in the soil It can help balance soil pH, soil structure. It can actually reduce salt accumulation and toxins in the soil over time by activating what's already in your soil. And I want to be clear about what we're trying to accomplish with something like this. We're not trying to replace compost. We're not replacing fertilizer. We're not replacing good irrigation practices or cultural practices in the garden. We're simply using another tool to activate and encourage the soil biology and improve what's happening in the root zone of the plants, which provide us what we're growing a garden for in the first place. Healthy soil isn't just something that holds a plant up and grows roots. It is an actual ecosystem. There are bacteria, fungi, and all kinds of other microbes interacting with organic matter, interacting with themselves, with minerals, water, air, and the plant root system. We're trying to create conditions that help support that system. Using something like Soil Activator is a simple way to bolster all the other things that you already do in the garden. Adding compost, you're already watering, you're already fertilizing, maybe you're already doing a little bit of aeration in your beds to help introduce oxygen into the root zone. So this is a way that you can essentially support that system a little bit further. It's more of a tool. It's not a necessity, but it's a tool, and you can use it alongside all of those other things that you're already doing. Then maybe later on down the road, we already have gotten our soil, we've already done our amendments. Maybe you're farther along already. You've already composted and fertilized. Maybe you're getting ready or already starting to put some plants in the ground. You can also take Medina Plus, which is your soil activator, and then it's fortified with kelp. So this is a good option to utilize when you're actually doing your planting. If we're putting out tomatoes and peppers, it's still incredibly hot. The heat index is high. It's miserable outside, and it's going to put stress on your plants. Utilizing something like Medina Plus is going to help reduce that transplant shock. The kelp is going to carry micronutrients, act as a root stimulator, so you have a better chance of your plant establishing in harsh conditions and really getting going, so that when it's time for it to really begin to fruit, produce, and really push a lot of growth or a lot of flowers, it's going to be healthier and happier and able to do so. It's really important too in kelp, whether it's in this or any type of seaweed product, helping get that root establishment faster, stronger, and healthier is also going to help support the amount of water loss that happens when you're planting things out in the August heat. They're losing moisture through their leaves rapidly, so a bigger, healthier root system is going to help a plant combat that and be less stressed. Now we know if we're planting things out, no matter what we're using, we've got to water, and deep watering is going to help promote those roots to grow deeper and reach for that water as we're planting things into these drier conditions, the hotter times, and they're going to stand a much better chance when the temps drop in September or begin to decline, and the plants will flourish a little bit easier. Giving just a little bit of water, we've talked about this a whole lot, is going to encourage those shallow roots, and those shallow roots, they're not going to grow deep. And then that water, if you're deep watering, or even if you're not, the soil's dry, the moisture goes lower, and it's not going to be accessible to those roots as easily. So deep watering is very, very key, especially if you're doing a second round of warm season crops this year. So as you're transitioning from summer into fall gardening, don't just think about what you want to plant. Think about the soil and the ecosystem that's actually down there that we can't visibly see. Think about what those plants are going to grow in. Think about the conditions and what you've grown before. Add organic matter, correct your fertility, stimulate the natural biology in the soil, water deeply, and give those plants the best fighting chance they have so that they can produce what you're looking for this fall season. So in closing today, being a successful gardener in the fall doesn't start when you put the first plant in. It starts when you set your mind to being focused on the soil in which the plant grows in.